Alright, what's going on, guys? We are coming back to you with a little bit of a question and answer today. So this one, I posted something on my Facebook page with just a photo stating that we're going to be doing a bit more of these kind of question answer type videos for YouTube, and I got a response from my man Ash. Shout out to Ash. He's doing some PT stuff over in Australia at the moment, so I hope things are going well for you. But he asked, what is the best way to train arms? What's the best way to get hypertrophy within your arms? Is it high reps with a light weight, or low reps using a lot heavier weight? So the difference between heavy and light style training, particularly for arm development and arm growth. And I think we first got to take the question with, what's your training goal? And Ash has already kind of outlined, for growth or hypertrophy. But when you're writing your own training program, that's the first thing that you should kind of identify. What's the goal of the program, and what are you really trying to get out of it? And there's obviously different goals. You've got your strength. We've got hypertrophy, which is an increase in muscle size. You've got endurance. You've got sport specific stuff. So first of all, always identify your goal. Once you've identified your goal, so we're looking at hypertrophy stuff. What's the best method? And this is where you got to do your research, guys. What's the best method to attack that particular goal? And I guess there's actually, if you guys want to check out, there's a good research article, I'll link it in the description box, from Brad Schoenfeld, basically outlining the mechanisms of hypertrophy, or the mechanisms of muscle growth. And he identifies three key factors, right? So three key factors. First being mechanical tension, the next being muscle damage, and lastly metabolic stress. So we'll touch on all three of these. So mechanical tension is basically the amount of tension that's developed within a muscle during a given movement. It's pretty heavily related to the amount of load or weight that you use. So the more weight or more load, generally the more mechanical tension you'll get in a muscle. The second one is muscle damage. Obviously, the more stress you place on the muscle during a training session, the type of training session that you do, you're obviously going to provide different degrees of muscle damage within the muscle. And the more muscle damage, or not more muscle damage, because you have too much muscle damage, you end up getting injured, but you have to create some kind of damage within the muscle in order for it to want to grow. And the last one is metabolic stress. Right? And metabolic stress is basically a byproduct or buildup of metabolites, which are think blood. So carbon dioxide, lactic acid, all this buildup within a muscle from blood, creating the cell swelling effect. And cell swelling, or the pump that we like to kind of associate the cell swelling effect to, is basically just it's a threat brought on by the body. So the body perceives it as a bit of a threat, and the research is kind of, it's not out as such, but where it's pointing towards is that swelling effect, the body's perceiving it as a threat, and then it's having to reinforce its infrastructure, or basically building more muscle in order to limit the amount of inflammation or swelling that's going on within a muscle cell. So if we can touch on all three of those components, load or tension, muscle damage, and metabolic stress, then we're gonna create some form of hypertrophy. So there's three prongs to kind of building muscle as such. And going back to the question with what's better, I think you have to look at it as it's a varied training program. Regardless, the arm muscles, same as any other muscle that you're trying to build, is all about getting a varied program, and doing different stages depending on what your goal is. So if it's hypertrophy, incorporating some kind of heavy training. So we are going heavy, 6 to 8 rep range. You are doing kind of like your moderate hypertrophy kind of rep range, which is between 8 and 12. But then you're also increasing that endurance and creating more metabolic stress doing the higher rep ranges as well, so the lighter weights using the 15 to 20 rep ranges. So I think it's not necessarily just following one particular approach, but attacking it from a variety of different rep ranges to get kind of the most out of your training, regardless of whether it's the arms, whether it's the chest, your calves, whatever. But with your training program, what you can do is have, say, you could do focus on your strength in the first week. So you could do all your exercises, regardless of what you're doing, barbell curl, dips, 6 to 8 reps for the first week. Second week, increase those reps up. Now we're working the hypertrophy range. We're going to be doing somewhere around 8 to 12 repetitions. Right, and that's in the second week. So we're progressing. We've gone from 6 to 8 now to 8 to 12. And in the third week, what you can do is then you can bump that up even further. Now we're working 15 to 20 kind of rep range. Now we're increasing the endurance, really maximizing, getting the most out of our metabolic stress, and attacking it from a different variety of rep ranges. So you can see we're progressing. We can go from 6 to 8, 8 to 12, and then back up from 15, or back up to 15 to 20. Or you could do it differently and use a variety of rep ranges within a current session. So within a single session, you might do, say, your first 1 or 2 exercises within the 6 to 8 rep range. You might do 1 or 2 exercises in the 10 to 12 rep range, and then you might finish with 1 or 2 exercises in the high rep range, creating a lot of metabolic stress, increasing that endurance capacity using 15 to 20 plus reps. So it's all about kind of just changing the reps up, using a variety of different reps to kind of get the most out of your training. And I guess it's just going back to Brad's research showing that it's a combination of factors. It's not like one particular factor. It's a combination of factors that kind of leads to muscle growth, muscle hypertrophy. And I guess the last thing that we can kind of touch on is enjoyment. It's not physiologically anything that we can do. So there's not a lot of research showing that physiologically if we enjoy something then we're going to be doing it, but it's going to make more progress. But if we look at it from a psychological perspective, especially with what I'm picking, a lot of what you guys do, a lot of what I do, it's all based on we're not peaking for anything in particular. We're not doing it for a set competition at the moment or getting better in a certain sport, especially if it's like arm training. But we're doing it because we enjoy it, right? So what kind of training do you guys actually enjoy doing? The thing is that if you enjoy it, then you're more likely to continue it, right? And if you can continue doing it, you're more likely to see results long term, regardless of whether you're doing what's scientifically optimal or not. So enjoy it. If you enjoy going heavy, do heavy stuff. Do heavy training. Do 6 to 8 reps or 5 reps or whatever. The powerlifter style. If you enjoy a bit more of that high repetition stuff, do more of the high repetition stuff. But always come back to what do you enjoy doing and where do you find that you're having the most fun. Because if you enjoy it, guys, you are going to continue doing it. And it's not a matter of if you get the results, it's just a matter of when you're going to get the results, because you're constantly sticking to it, you're putting effort day in, day out. And that's what it comes down to. I think especially in this phase of training that I'm particularly in, at the moment, I'm not focusing on doing anything in particular. I'm not shredding up for a particular competition. I'm not trying to bulk up as such to put on a hell of a lot of more muscle mass or anything like that. I'm enjoying my workouts. I'm enjoying eating healthy, and I'm just living fit because that's what I enjoy doing. So for me at the moment, I'm focusing totally on workouts that I like, workouts that I get some kind of fulfillment and enjoyment out of. Obviously, if I'm getting to looking to put on a certain amount of muscle mass for a competition, or maximize the amount of muscle mass that I've got and hold on to while I'm cutting down for a competition, then yeah, I'll follow a little bit more of the exactly what the research shows. So, you know, I might do a strength phase, I might do a maximized muscle phase or hypertrophy phase, followed by a bit of a conditioning phase, and incorporating all those different kind of tactics in to maximize the amount of muscle that I've got. But at the moment, I'm the kind of guy that just likes high rep training, moderate to high rep training, so somewhere between kind of 10 to 15 reps, and just pushing limits. So going in there and just killing it. And I think if you can do that, that's where you'll start to see the results, and that's where you'll start to see improvements come in, because you're constantly pushing towards getting it done, rather than what's optimal in literature at the moment. But most important, like, have you guys seen the hashtag everyday's arm day? Like, I know I've put it out there on a couple of my posts. Bradley Martin, shout out to Bradley Martin, awesome dude. He's got some crazy videos. If you guys haven't seen it, well, if you guys watching me, you've probably seen him. But Bradley Martin, hashtag everyday's arm day, which comes back to frequency, right? So it's another training principle that's kind of we use and we manipulate to get different results, especially when it comes to muscle building. But if you want something to grow, regardless whether that's your arms, whether it's your calves, whether it's your shoulders, chest, whatever, apply the frequency principle as well, guys, because the more often that you're hitting that particular muscle group, the more total volume you're going to end up getting, and that's what's going to be important to creating hypertrophy. So total training volume, it's going to allow for more, more of this metabolic stress. It's going to allow for more of the muscle damage. It's going to allow for more mechanical tension. So attack it with frequency. Train arms if you're trying to grow your arms 2, 3, 4 times a week. Don't go in and just start training every day's arm day, training arms every day. Like, you will lead to some kind of overtraining or injury, especially. The tendons won't be able to cope with it, so you'll probably get something like tennis elbow or golfer's elbow. So don't go crazy, but obviously build up. So if you're training arms at the moment once a week, or just secondarily with like chest or triceps, just chuck in an extra arm day. If you're already training them twice a week, just chuck in an extra day here and there, whether it's at the end of your chest routine or your shoulder routine or back routine, just to kind of finish them off a little bit. Add in frequency, which will give you more total training volume, and in the long run, more metabolic stress, more muscle damage, more mechanical tension. Hope this helps. Any other questions, guys, send them through either in the comments section below or straight over to my Facebook page. Leave a comment, send me a message. And we'll try to get a few more of these videos out to you guys. So thanks for watching, hope it helps.